Hello, God Gamers of Power Exile. Today, looking at the new patch notes before 3.10. Okay, I'm not gonna look so in depth, like calculating all those kind of shit. Just gonna look generally. The main things I'll be looking is like skill gems, items, and like mapping in general, and ascendancies, right? Like the build stuff, like skill tree, new items, skill gems, all these changes are taking a look. Some crafting, but the like all those small minor changes to the numbers I don't really care about. I think these are really significant changes or like new addition stuff. Some items of course, but so the master quest, you can trigger them at your map device. Previously you have to go to the master to talk to them. So now you can trigger master quest, but I think you click on the master, and this 3 circle actually shows like how many missions you have for like white tier, yellow and red tier maps. So it's a nice quality of life, but not very significant, but and I think this one is very significant. So you have you can put in favorite maps. So from the comments that Power Exile added is that each time you favorite a map, it gains ×10 multiplier to drop map, and you can stack this multiplier up to 3 times, so you get 30 times. So you can put in your favorite map on this circle. I think it's for different regions, like this one is like maybe for Tyres End, then you can put in Tyres End map. And if you put in, so generally if you like a specific map, for example like toxic sewers or base pool, right, those that have really good layout, you want to favorite them, increase their drop rate, and you can sexton them and all this kind of stuff. So I think it's really cool. I think this system is very significant in terms of end game mapping. I think we'll make it slightly better. It feels better actually. So another changes is also that the stash layout that you have in your previous league, or for example in 3.9, right, they'll carry over into your 3.1 also. Previously every league you have to make the layout again, so everything is copied, so better quality of life as well. So some of the new items that got released, I think a few more hours before the new Power Exile expansion. So these are the new items. This helmet is a bit like your, what's the quiver name again? A bit like this quiver, right? Melony mechanism. It has trigger spells wherever you use an attack with a bow. I think that with this helmet you can have a lot of skills, right? This helmet, it gains you a skill called Snipe level 20, and it triggers skills that are socketed onto the helmet. So they say that Snipe is a channel skill. It's a bit like Barrage, I think. Builds up with 6 stack as you hold, then trigger socketed skill and release. One skill is triggered for each stage, with extra stages greatly multiplying the damage of trigger skills. So you can put in 4 gems, right? So at least you want 4 stage to have all the skills to trigger. And then if you get 6 stage, it's just basically multiplying your damage. So, and with this item called Melony mechanism, I think you gotta have like a lot of skills triggering at the same time. It's a bit like Poet's Pen, but more chaotic, right? So another new boots that was announced on Twitter was this boots. I haven't read it yet. We can read it together, right? Super read it. Grants level 1 Embrace Madness. Movement speed. You have Ignite, Chilling, and Shocking Conflux while affected by Glorious Madness. Immune to ailments. So I think it gains like an aura or buff. Okay, Conflux is basically like if you deal damage, you will chill, you will shock or ignite. So it's a very good boots, and you're immune to ailments. So you also gain a buff called Embrace Madness level 1. Let's look at the skill. Embrace Madness skills instantly grants a buff called Glorious Madness. The buff gives you a random Delirium touch debuff at regular interval. This debuff increase damage taken, reduce flash charge and charge gain, slow your action speed and lower recovery rate. So you actually have some downside, like every few seconds it will give you like some sort of debuff, taking more damage, or like those that are shown here. I think this boot is strong. Has a good implicit, has movement speed, and like having a conflux, right, is really strong because you're able to, I think it's good for ailments build in general. You're able to constantly get ailments and like shock, chill, ignite, whatever you want. You're also immune to ailments, so that's really huge. Using Embrace Madness again removes Glorious Madness and the Delirium debuff, but then puts the skill on a long cooldown before you can use it again. Keep Glorious Madness active as long as you can to get the most benefit, get the most of the boot's benefit before the risk is too great. When you press the skill Embrace Madness, you gain a buff, Glorious Madness. So you have those downsides, but you have these two active modifiers, right? Immune and like you can have conflux. But then if you feel that you are getting too much debuff, you can press it again to remove all the debuff, but you also at the same time you don't get the effect from of the boots, the super good modifier of the boots. So maybe like whenever you find yourself having too much debuff, you want to press it again to remove it. Then once it comes back on cooldown, you can use it again. Maybe I think it's good during bosses, or like when you are going to a large pack of monsters. It's a bit like you press it to sort of gain damage or immunity a little bit. But you won't generally use it for the whole map, right? Because if you press it early on, you can get a huge debuff. So I think it's only, you're gonna use the skill Embrace Madness whenever you feel like you're encountering a strong monster or you want more damage and all that kind of stuff. Interesting boots, but I feel like a bit too much mechanics to press, right? So these are the new changes that were announced on Twitter. So the new challenges, yeah, we saw it already. Helmet, some wings, cape. The wing actually got reworked, so the wing actually looks better now. So let's look at it. Okay, there's actually a page where it has all the new gems. So let's take a look. I'm more interested in the new skill gems rather than like the mechanics of the game, right? So there's new skill gems, some support, some active skills. So you saw this Blade Blast in the trailer. So it's basically you use like, it's like more combo skill, right? You use it with Blade Vortex Blade, and then you explode there and do damage. So at about 400 physical damage, 200 or 400, not bad. Detonate dealing damage again in an area around them. Out to 50 blades can be detonated. Unnerve enemies for 4 seconds on hit. This skill is actually a lot of damage, right? It has a lot of added damage. Unnerve enemy for 4 seconds. You can 3 out to 50. Super strong. And look at Arcane Cloak. New skill, Intel Gem. Spend a portion of your mana to gain a buff that takes some damage. So it's a bit like your Molten Shell, right? And then also gain added lightning damage based on mana spent. So you spend 64% of your mana, and you gain a shield, and also you gain lightning damage. So how much lightning? Like buff gains added damage equals to 14% of mana spent. This skill is strong. I think all caster builds will be using this, or like all builds that uses intelligence damage or like stack mana like Guardian. I think we'll use this skill, right? Because like mind over matter, you'll have a lot of mana, and this skill just, I think also is synergized with the one of the items, right? From 3.9 is the mana shield. I forget what's the name, but it's like based on the amount of mana you use, you deal lightning damage, and also like you try and recover back the mana. So like, I think it's synergized with mana guardian style, right? Then you can use the other skills as well that deals lightning damage. I think this is a really good skill, because like other builds like cause intelligence build, they generally don't have any good guard skill, cause like if you look at it, armor builds they use molten shell, endurance charge they use immortal core, then like steel skin is not that good, but I think this skill is good. Kinetic blast, zigzag, we saw this. I feel like this skill, kinetic blast, won't be, I think it's more for mapping, maybe like league start. I think it's good, like to farm maps, to finish your act. I think it's a good skill, but it seems like because it's more based on AoE damage, it's not really, I don't think it's a very good single target damage. It's more bouncing off targets to deal AoE. So this one is more maybe league start for clearing, or you want to try a new skill, but I don't think it's a good bossing skill. But you never know, maybe like some people find some good shit with this build. Stonebind, channel to spread runes on the ground in a growing pattern. The runes fade away after duration and will be removed immediately and deal damage in a circular area when detonated by rune blast. Enemy standing on the runes are hindered, reducing their movement speed. I've realized that a lot of these new skills that PoE released for 3.1 has a lot of combo synergy. Like you need to use another skill and then you use this new skill, or like we have like two parts to it. So it's a bit more different because like in current style, right, we only use one skill. We buff the shit out of that skill, then the skill super strong, right? You kill everything with one skill. You just press one button, and there's now the new skill that's released seems like there's more like two parts to it. You need to press two buttons, so like there's more, it's more active, right, the playstyle. So the rune blast is channel to improve runes placed by Stormbind based on the mana you spend channeling this skill. Release to detonate. Okay, so I realized a lot of skill uses mana, so I think like Guardian is really good. Maybe that's why we see a nerf or like change in the Guardian ascendancy, but and also like mana stuff, I think, if I remember correctly. A lot of mana skill in this patch, and it has I think it's pretty okay, but I feel like you need to have really good survivability to use this skill, because you need to press the first part. I mean, the first part it deals damage, right? But if you want the maximize damage, you need to use the second part, and the more mana you use, the more damage. So a bit slow. I think the skill is a bit like the situation with explosive arrow. Explosive arrow deals a lot of damage if you get like a lot of stack, right? But chances of getting so much stack on really strong bosses is difficult, because you just get killed before you can actually get the maximum damage you can do. Runes can be improved 3 times. I didn't see that, so maybe you can hold it for like 3 seconds, or like until I think this skill is a bit like Blade Fury, right? Blade Fury is also like hold it, once you reach the maximum stage you release, and it has like that huge burst of damage. This seems like Blade Fury but spell casting version. And generally I think this type of skills a bit slow and clunky in terms of the playstyle, because there's 2 parts. The main thing is not really the 2 parts, it's more like you have to stand there to channel, to buff the thing. It's a bit like Blade Fury, right? You have to, that's why Blade Fury is also a bit clunky. You have to like get the stage out, release, and then like you have to dodge at the same time, unless you are really tanky. But if you are tanky, you don't deal that much good damage. But we'll see. I think it's okay of a skill for now. So next is Spell Slinger. Reserve mana based on a supported spell to cause this spell to trigger when you fire projectile from the one attack. So this skill is a bit like Poet Pen. It's like you have Poet Pen but without Poet Pen, and you can reserve mana. So it's basically sort of like a support gem, right? You put it in, and all the socketed active skill gems, they become into like sort of like an aura because they reserve your mana. And then whenever you use a one attack, you actually trigger those skills or those spells. So it's like Poet Pen. I think it's interesting because you can link quite a lot of good skills, I think, together. Because Poet Pen is already quite, I mean, it's pretty okay. I think this will see some play. Also the second part is Spell Slinger support. Triggers supported spells when you fire projectile. Yeah, it's basically the first part. Supported skill have added spell damage equals to 100% of damage of equipped wand. If two wands are equipped, each contribute half as much added damage. Supported skills deals 20% increased damage. I think in general, Spell Slinger is a good gem. Even like if you don't use the active version, which is like the Poet Pen version, the support version of this skill is really good. Because like you have more spell damage based on your wand, right? And it also deals 20% more damage. I think this skill, this gem is really strong. We'll see play. Arcane Cloak will see play. The others, I think Kinetic Blast not really. And Stormbind maybe, like to have some fun. Blade Blast seems good in terms of damage, but I'm not sure how well and practical the skill will be, but generally quite okay. So we got some support, new support gems. Second wind support, increase cooldown recovery speed. Support in non-instant skills have +1 cooldown use. Support skills with cooldown cannot support triggered skills, so they have better cooldown. Maybe you can use it with Molten Shell self cast, or you can do it with Arcane Cloak to reduce the cooldown. Yeah, maybe see some play, but I don't really see anyone using second wind, to be honest. Maybe like if you have an extra skill gem slot, then you put this in, but not really. Arc Mage support. Support gems that deal damage with hits and have mana cost, cannot trigger skills or skills used by the totem traps of mine, cannot modify the skills of minions. So have more increased mana cost, they have added lightning damage. Supporter skills have base mana cost equals to 6% of unreserved. Supporter skills gain added lightning damage equals to 127% of mana cost. Okay, I think this is really strong, and like with combination of Arcane Cloak and like maybe Stormbind, a lot of damage. I think that Guardian mana build, like Guardian mana or like Guardian mana or Hierophant mana build will see quite a lot of play actually. A lot of lightning damage added, and it really synergizes with the mana stuff. And like in 3.9, the Conqueror actually dropped one shield. I forget what's the name there. Of course there are still changes, like Metamorph added to core is already announced quite long ago that is going to the core game. So it says that 10% of the map has Metamorph, and also you can get from Sextons. Okay, that's cool. So there are also some changes to unarmed. So it says that are now described as melee strike range. So it doesn't change that modifier. So these are all like minor changes. And these are all the skill reworks. I won't go specifically into it. I feel like there are many YouTubers that are doing it, and they are doing it pretty well. They all go into like, they use calculator. They have all those Excel sheet, fucking calculating everything. I don't really give a fuck about this. Like I will play skills that I wanna play, and I will create builds on POB, right? But I won't like look at all those like percentage and like I don't give shit, man. I'm not gonna make a 1 hour long video, you know. So ascendancy, I think, is huge. I love to look at skill tree changes. So Bone Barrel no longer grants elemental resist, increased life and energy shield per minion. Commander now grants you 30% to all elemental resist from 20. So more resist from Commander of Darkness, but no more from Bone Barrel. Instead we gain like life recovery. Assassin opportunistic now gains 25% more damage from 20%. So they actually buffing Assassin in terms of the damage, but Mistwalker got nerfed. Guardian now gains 10% of reserve mana as energy shield instead of 15. I think this is a okay change. I mean, it's 5% is quite huge, but there's a lot of new skill gems that have to do with stacking mana. So I think that okay, the nerf is quite reasonable, because I think Guardian will be strong, and like mana stacking or like Templar in general will be strong, because Templar, most of their ascendancies and their skill tree, the area they are close to has a lot of mana. So, and also all those new skill gems like Arcane Cloak, Stonebind, and the support gem Archmage or something, all of them have to do with mana, and they are really strong. So I think it's a reasonable change. These are all item balance that I'm not gonna look into too much numbers. I feel that I don't really want to care about. Character modifier grants +1 number of skeletons, and raised zombie can only be found on the helmet slot. Okay, cannot be crafted body armor. Fossil crafting, there's quite a lot of changes. Redeemer, let me see, is there any significant changes? Bell, increased kill damage. There's so much text. So they say that glove, amulet, shoe, fossils, exclusive mod cannot be obtained in any form. Okay. So let me see. Savior. Okay, Savior sword is one of my favorite items. The Mirage warrior created by this sword now consume charges to bypass cooldowns. If the skill they use have a cooldown that can be bypassed this way, for example, Flicker Strike Mirage will now consume frenzy charge until they run out, at which point they will only use Flicker Strike once the cooldown expires. This Mirage actually now have a cool new effect, so better looking, and has some cooldown created by this weapon now consume charges to bypass cooldown. Mirage actually consume frenzy charge until they run out, at which point they only use Flicker Charge once the cooldown expires. Some sort of cooldown stuff. A lot of changes actually. Death Harp 50% from 100. I feel like there's quite a lot of changes, but mainly just numbers and a lot of things actually. not gonna look too deep into it. I feel that if you guys want to check out like specific items, you can do it on your own. I'm here to talk about more like the more significant changes and the new skill gems. I'm more interested in those. So I hope you find this video useful or like interesting. I'll be waking up early on to play Path of Exile. Not sure what build to play yet. Probably Lacerate Bleed or maybe the new skill gems with Templar, like Stormbind. Probably Stormbind. I could try Stormbind, Templar, or maybe Lacerate Gladiator. But yeah. Or maybe like Essence Drain Contagion. I think Essence Drain Contagion is a very good league start. If I want a promising league start, I'll probably go Lacerate or Essence Drain Contagion, but we'll see on what I want to play. But for now, changes are the new skills are looking really good and the items are pretty dank. The quality of life changes and everything is really nice. Looking forward tomorrow. If you want, can check me out. I'll be making videos like guide builds or whatever as I progress through Delirium tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy and have a nice one.